Facilitating. We're down at the end of the sand pit. This is the state of New Hampshire's land where it enters into the woods. Now over here, if you look at the recent pictures we've had, and pictures going back 4 years, you see this solid clay bank over here? That eroded immensely. That bank there is eroded immensely in the last 2 weeks. That was almost solid gray clay. And if you look at all our pictures, that'll show that. That eroded immensely in solid gray clay, and it's almost into brown veins now. But it lost a lot of clay on that side, and this side here lost a lot. All the solid clay bankings down here probably lost a good 10 feet of solid clay banks right here. You see where that's jutted out? From there on back through here. We lost a lot of clay banks. That's why our concentration down below this spring is almost pure clay. We lost more clay up here this year than I think any other year previously. Before it used to be some sand mixed in with it. Now it's just complete solid clay. Now this picture on this knoll on the end here, we have pictures from 2 weeks ago that shows about 15-20 feet of that knoll being there, and that's gone. All this here, this fell in another 5, 6, 7 feet back. This whole point is just collapsing in. And look at this, look at how this sandbar, do you see the bar in the middle here? We've been taking pictures of that right along. Now look at how that has been building up with clay. Look at how much higher and bigger that sandbar got from the clay that fell in upstream. That used to be nothing but rocks, just like that. And now with a few extra trees on top of it, look at this, look at the clay that's packed on top of that little sandbar that wasn't there a couple of weeks ago. This is a big ball of peat moss. That's just a big ball of peat moss. Oh, there we go. A big ball of peat moss from the bog, from that dark wall back behind us that we were just looking at. That erodes much slowly. Now that ball there is probably 4.5 by 4.5 round. Where are we? I'm losing this thing. That's probably about 4.5 by 4.5, and it's that peat moss, and that doesn't dissipate easily. What it does is it rolls and turns into balls of peat bog. You see more of it out here. That's from the peat bog collapsing in just 150, 200 yards back upstream. That's all the peat that's caving in. The clay silt, being the finest of the particles, travels downstream. That's why us down at the Buck Street Dam and just above it have all clay. The finest of the particles, and it all settles in and from 1 to 3 feet deep, and it packs like concrete. It's solid clay. Now this land used to go from the height of land over there to over there. So how many acres, how many cubic yards, how many metric tons of silt has the state of New Hampshire and Epsom allowed to go downstream? Right here, this is Epsom's land right here that we're looking at. All this collapsed area here is what's left of Epsom's land. So it's quite clear that the state of New Hampshire and Epsom don't have to abide by the rules that contractors and homeowners have to abide by. Two sets of rules for a municipality in the state, I guess. And no consequence, they think there's no consequences for the damage that they're doing downstream. And the state is going one further. Not only is it allowing the total destruction of this sand pit by the acre to go downstream, it's refusing to remove the Buck Street Dam to keep it from going any further. And that is deliberately silting in and destroying our section of river and our properties. A calculated and deliberate policy to destroy our properties in our section of river to keep it from going into the Merrimack. Yet they won't come up here and stop this nonsense. Well, if this isn't a wetlands violation, if this isn't a silt violation, I don't know what is. How hypocritical can the state be to prosecute people while they're perpetuating this? I think it's time to seek out every person that's been prosecuted in the last 30 years, every attorney that's represented somebody in the last 30 years for wetlands violations, and get them up here to see what they think about this. You think you were treated unfairly? Wait till you see this. Wait till you see this.